Welcome back. Global tensions are rising as conflict between the United States, Israel, and Iran intensifies, raising fears of a broader war in the Middle East. With military threats, retaliatory strikes, and growing diplomatic strain, the world is indeed watching closely. While this may seem far from home, such tensions often impact global oil prices, trade routes, and financial markets, which can translate into higher fuel and food costs, economic uncertainty, and diplomatic pressure, even for countries such as Namibia. To help us unpack what this means for the world and how it could affect our country, we're joined virtually by Dr. Tok Mude, Senior Lecturer in the Department of Political Studies at the University of Namibia. Good morning, Doctor, and welcome to Good Morning Namibia.
Good morning, Denver. Thank you.
Are you doing well, Doctor?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing well too. Thank you very much, Doctor. Let's please get
Okay.
into the business of the day. From a geopolitical perspective, what is at the core of the tension between the United States, Israel, and Iran, Doctor?
Thank you, Denver. What seems to be at the core of this tension, Denver, is what I would like to call the security dilemma. Israel and Iran were allies before 1979, from 1948 to 1979. But after the Iranian Revolution, they became enemies, and matters escalated from around 2000 when Iran intensified the stockpiling of nuclear weapons and also ballistic missiles. So what's in short is rather a security dilemma. The continued stockpiling of weapons by Iran happened to threaten Israel, as well as the USA. So this war is all about the arms race, and they feel threatened by Iran's nuclear capabilities and also the stockpiling of anti-ballistic missiles. And I would also like to unpack the causes of war. War is actually caused by issues to do with survival and national interests of states. So here we make reference to the USA and Israel. Their interests are threatened by Iran's increasing military strength. And these national interests are defined in terms of their survival, which is why I made reference to security dilemma.
So the mission would appear
So
to want to disarm and disempower Iran, Doctor.
yes, the strategy has to do with disarmament, and also the issue of regime change, because President Trump has been talking about the regime in Iran is it's called it evil. So I think the strategy has to do with changing the regime and then disarming Iran.
Now, Doctor, against the backdrop of what gave rise to this conflict, speak to us about how serious is the risk of the conflict escalating not only into a full-scale regional, but perhaps even a global war?
The conflict has already expanded with the invasion of the UAE, the invasion of the military bases of Britain in Cyprus, the military bases of the US in Bahrain, in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar. So it has already expanded, and it's just a matter of time. And it remains to be seen if these countries that have been invaded by Iran are going to also respond militarily to this continued military invasion by Iran,
Please
because
help.
their interests have also been threatened. Their security are being threatened by these invasions, though the invasions are targeted at the US bases in those countries, but their interests, their survival are also being threatened.
Are you saying that we need to brace ourselves potentially for a global war, Doctor?
With the likes of France threatening to also join, the likes of Britain threatening to also join in support of Israel, we are looking at the potential of a global war that will be fought in the Middle East, in the Gulf region.
You've already mentioned a number of global powers. Let's have regard specifically to Russia and China. What role are they likely to play?
Uh, from a liberalist perspective, Russia and China have a role to uphold international law by virtue of them being members of the Security Council. They have a mandate to uh, influence other members of the Security Council to adopt resolutions, as well as potentially authorizing military action. Moreover, Russia and China are members of BRICS, and Iran is also a member of BRICS. So it also remains to be seen if they are going to act or to do something to protect Iran as their ally within the context of the BRICS Plus.
In our introduction earlier, Doctor, we made mention of the impact of the conflict on global oil prices as well as international trade. What is that impact likely to look like as far as the domestic front is concerned? Because we already know that globally the impact has started.
Yeah, I would like to make reference to problems that have arisen in the Strait of Hormuz. Oil, natural gas is transported through the Strait of Hormuz, and we are talking here about oil and gas. One-fifth of it being consumed by the whole world. So the closure of the Strait of Hormuz threatens the economic survival of the whole world by virtue of economic interdependence. Namibia also imports oil through the Strait of Hormuz. So that also poses a threat to Namibia in terms of oil. Oil prices are going to go up. They've already started soaring. So we also have to brace for inflation. Food prices are going to go up.
Let's unpack that a bit more, Doctor. What are the immediate economic impacts that we as a country need to brace ourselves for?
The immediate impact have to do with inflation. If oil prices go up, the price of food is also bound to go up. So we have to brace for inflation.
Doctor, is it your observation that this tension could reshape global alliances as well as international diplomacy going forward?
This tension has the potential to shape global alliances. Uh, let's make reference to the BRICS Plus. Saudi Arabia is a member of the BRICS Plus. Iran is a member of the BRICS Plus. UAE is a member of the BRICS Plus, having joined the BRICS in 2023. And these countries that I've just mentioned have been sort of invaded by Iran. Rather, the military bases of the USA in UAE, in Saudi Arabia, have been attacked by Iran. So that is bound to also influence relations of these countries within the context of the BRICS plus. And in terms of uh, alignment, it is going to be a problem because within the BRICS right now, we also have China, we have Russia. Who are they going to side with? Are they going to side with Iran and sideline Saudi Arabia and sideline UAE is also new members of the BRICS Plus?
Now, Dr. Mude, Namibia, through our Ministry of International Relations and Trade, since the past weekend, has already issued two statements calling primarily for diplomacy. How should African countries position themselves diplomatically during such a sensitive time and in such a sensitive global conflict?
African countries are members of the global community, and they have a role to uphold international peace and security. They have a role to shape international peace and security individually and also within the context of the African Union and other regional economic communities and organizations, the UN also. So African countries have a role to lead uh, in terms of calling for dialogue, calling for mediation and de-escalation in Iran, because they are equal members of the international community. So at this point in time, they have a mandate, they have a duty to uphold international peace and security in a number of ways.
We may be equal members of the international community, Doctor, but in the absence of a seat on the Security Council, how effective would our calls as African countries be?
Uh, with alignment with the likes of China, the likes of Russia, they have actually a chance to influence the outcomes, not necessarily putting pressure on China and Russia, but calling for dialogue, calling for the end to the conflict, and calling for action within the context of the United Nations.
Dr. Mude, the last couple of days, both legal and political scholars have largely been of the view that international law is constantly being disregarded. What is your take on that?
International law, Denver, the way it is configured, uh, uh, it is not a compulsory legal system. International law is a voluntary legal system, even at the point of recourse to war, like what happened with the invasion of Iran. You see, the USA and Israel acted, and they even justified their actions on the basis of an imminent threat, which relates to self-defense. So they are saying we uh, attacked Iran in the context of self-defense, and that is permissible under Article 51 of the UN Charter. So they can actually justify the legality of the war on the basis of Article 51 of the UN Charter, even without the authorization of the UN Security Council, because uh, engagement in armed conflict is justified only on the basis of two circumstances. Number one, being the right, exercising the right to self-defense, and also under the authorization of the Security Council. In this context, there was no Security Council authorization, which is why they made reference to uh, uh, exercising their right to self-defense. And we've seen civilians being attacked, airports being attacked. So on both sides of this conflict, I would say there are violations of international humanitarian law because of the indiscriminate attacks on civilians and on civilians' infrastructure, such as airports, such as schools, and also oil facilities.
Doctor, in conclusion, what are the possible scenarios that could unfold in the coming weeks or months? Very briefly, please.
The possible scenarios that I see are, number one, Iran is going to pursue a strategy that I would call attrition, the war of attrition. It is going to uh, continue to frustrate Israel, to frustrate the USA through long engagement and also through continuous losses.
Dr. Mude, thank you very much for your time and thank you for those very precious insights, providing so much clarity for ordinary Namibians especially.
You're welcome, Denver. Thank you. Bye-bye.